So, there I was, sitting in a ridiculously expensive Italian restaurant, the kind with white tablecloths and waiters who look down on you for ordering the house red. Across from me, my wife Sarah was practically vibrating with excitement. To her left and right, her two best friends, Jessica and Chloe, the architects of my misery, were beaming, looking at me like I was some sort of lab rat who'd finally solved their maze. And on the table, right next to the breadbasket, was a small, velvet blue box from Tiffany and Company. Go on, open it, Sarah urged, her voice a little too loud. Jessica was filming the whole thing on her phone, of course. I looked at Sarah. I looked at her grinning friends. Then I looked at the box. I didn't open it. Instead, I slid a manila folder out of my suit jacket and placed it on the table with a soft thud. I think you should open this first, I said, my voice calm, almost detached. The smiles on their faces didn't just fade, they evaporated. The confusion was immediate. Sarah picked up the folder like it was a venomous snake. Inside, on top, was a single, high-resolution 8 by 10 glossy photograph. It was a picture of a man. A very handsome, very tan, very shirtless man on a beach somewhere tropical. Sarah stared at it, completely bewildered. Who is this? I leaned forward, making sure Jessica's phone was still recording. That, I said, letting the silence hang in the air for just a beat too long, is the professional actor I hired 3 weeks ago to be your fake lover. The color drained from all three of their faces. His name is Marco, and according to my bank statement, he gives a much more convincing performance than you do. Let me tell you, it all started 2 months ago, on a perfectly normal Tuesday. My life with Sarah was, I thought, pretty damn good. We'd been married for 5 years. We had a nice little house in the suburbs, 2 dogs, and a shared Netflix queue that was our sacred text. I'm a software engineer. I work from home. I'm quiet. I pay my bills, and I love my wife more than anything. I'm not a complicated guy. Our biggest argument up to that point was about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It doesn't. I will die on that hill. The problem wasn't us. The problem was her friends, Jessica and Chloe, or as I privately called them, the Coven. They were the kind of women who got all their life advice from toxic TikTok therapists and believed that if your man wasn't fighting off dragons for you on a daily basis, he didn't really love you. They were both divorced. Twice. But somehow, they were the established experts on relationships. They were constantly in Sarah's ear, planting little seeds of doubt. Are you sure you're happy, Sarah? Doesn't it bother you that Mark is so predictable? A little jealousy is healthy, you know. It keeps them on their toes. I used to ignore it. I figured Sarah was smart enough to see through their nonsense. She loved our quiet, predictable life. Or so I thought. The first test, as I later learned it was called, was small. I came downstairs one morning to find a single, long-stemmed red rose on the kitchen counter with a note that said, "Had a wonderful time last night." No signature. I looked at it, looked at Sarah who was watching me like a hawk, and I just laughed. "Oh, did your secret admirer strike again?" I asked, grabbing the coffee pot. It was an old inside joke. She used to buy herself flowers sometimes to brighten up the house. Her face fell. "You're not mad." "Mad? Why would I be mad? You got yourself a pretty flower. Should I be jealous of the cashier at Trader Joe's?" I kissed her on the head and went about my day. Later, I overheard her on the phone with Jessica. He didn't even care. He just laughed. There was a pause. "Yeah? You think so? A bit bigger, you say? Okay, I can do that." That was the inciting incident. The first little pebble of an avalanche of stupidity that was about to crush our marriage. A week later, the escalation began. Sarah started coming home late from work. She was a graphic designer at a small firm, usually a strict 9 to 5er. Suddenly, it was 9 to 7, then 9 to 8. When I asked about it, she was vague. "Oh, just a big project. Lots of deadlines." But she didn't seem tired or stressed. She seemed giddy, and she started leaving her phone face down on the table, something she never did. One night, a message lit up the screen before she could grab it. It was from a Derek from accounting. The message read, "Tonight was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." Winky face. My stomach did a little flip. Okay, this was different. This wasn't a flower from Trader Joe's. This was a winky face. A goddamn winky face. In the universal language of male-female communication, a winky face from a Derek from accounting is basically a declaration of war. I took a deep breath. I'm a rational guy. There could be an explanation. Hey, Sarah, I said, keeping my voice even. Who's Derek? She snatched the phone, her eyes wide with fake panic. Oh, he's a new guy at work. He's a little forward. It's nothing. Seemed a bit more than nothing, I said. He said tonight was amazing. We were all out for team drinks. He's just being friendly, she said, a little too quickly. God, you're not going to be one of those controlling husbands, are you? And there it was. The script. Straight from the Coven's playbook. Turn it back on me. Make me the bad guy for having a perfectly normal reaction to a shady-ass text message. I felt a cold knot form in my gut. Something was wrong. Seriously wrong. But I backed off. For now. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in psychological warfare. A receipt from a fancy restaurant I'd never been to accidentally fell out of her purse. A men's cologne I didn't recognize lingered on her jacket one evening. She started talking on the phone in hushed tones, snapping it shut the moment I entered a room. And through it all, I was losing my mind. Was she really doing this? My Sarah? The woman who cried during that one Sarah McLachlan commercial with the sad puppies? It didn't make any sense. I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating. I was a wreck, constantly running through scenarios in my head. My work was suffering. My whole world felt like it was tilting off its axis. I tried talking to her, really talking to her, about 3 times. Each time, I was met with deflection and accusations. Why are you so insecure all of a sudden? I feel like I'm being suffocated. My friends warned me you might get like this. That last one. That was the one that stuck in my head. My friends warned me. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. Sarah was supposedly out for another late night at the office. I was sitting on the couch, staring at the wall, feeling that cold, hollow feeling in my chest, when I saw her iPad on the coffee table. It was logged into her messaging app. And there it was. A group chat. The title was 3 champagne bottle emojis. The members, Sarah, Jessica, Chloe. I know. I shouldn't have looked. But I was at the end of my rope. I was a man dangling from a cliff by his fingernails, and this was my only way up. So I opened it, and I started to read. My blood didn't just boil. It went volcanic. It was all there. Every single detail. Planning the fake rose. Crafting the texts from Derek. The cologne sample from Sephora. The restaurant receipt they'd fished out of a trash can. It was a script. A sick, twisted game they had concocted to test me. Chloe, he's totally falling for it. Sarah says he looks like a sad puppy all the time now. LMAO. Jessica, see. I told you. Now when he finally finds out you're not cheating and you choose him, he'll be so grateful he'll propose all over again. He'll never take you for granted again. Sarah, I don't know, guys. He seems really hurt. Last night he just wanted to hold my hand and watch a movie, and I had to make an excuse to leave. I felt horrible. Jessica, no. Sarah, stop it. This is for your own good. You have to break him down a little to build him back up stronger. It's like emotional weight training. Trust the process. Emotional weight training. I sat there on my couch in my house, and I felt nothing. The hurt, the confusion, the sadness, it all vanished. It was replaced by an ice-cold, diamond-hard clarity. It wasn't just that they had done this. It was the why. They weren't just testing my love. They were trying to manipulate me, to break me down and remold me into some grateful, insecure version of a husband they thought I should be. And my wife, my sweet, kind Sarah, had let them. She was a willing participant in my emotional torture. At that moment, my marriage ended. I just hadn't told her yet. I didn't fly into a rage. I didn't smash anything. I closed the iPad, went upstairs, and took a shower. And as the hot water washed over me, a plan began to form. A beautiful, spectacular, petty plan. They wanted a show? Oh, I would give them a goddamn Broadway production with a finale they would never forget. The first thing I did the next morning was call in sick to work. Then I called a private investigator. I explained the situation. The PI, a gruff ex-cop named Frank, was silent on the other end of the line for a long time. Finally, he just said, "Son, in 25 years of doing this, that is the dumbest goddamn thing I have ever heard. I'm in." What do you need? I needed an affair. A real one. Or at least, a real-looking one. Frank found him for me. Marco, an aspiring actor and model who was more than happy to play the role of my wife's lover for a generous fee. We set up a whole backstory. He was a photographer she'd met on a work project. We created a fake text chain between them, far more convincing than their Derek nonsense. Frank's team even photoshopped Marco into a few pictures at local spots Sarah had claimed to be at. It was a masterpiece of deception. While Frank was handling that, I started playing my part. I became the husband they wanted me to be. I was distant. I was cold. I sighed a lot. When Sarah would come home, I'd look up at her with sad eyes and just shake my head, then go back to staring at my computer. I was giving them exactly the material they were craving. The group chat, which I now checked daily on her iPad, was buzzing. Jessica, he's starting to pull away. It's working. He's terrified of losing you. Chloe, now is when you have to be strong, Sarah. Just a little longer. He's almost at the breaking point. Oh, I was at a breaking point, all right. Just not the one they were expecting. The final piece of my plan was the grand finale. Our 6th anniversary was in 3 weeks. I told Sarah I wanted to do something special, to try and fix things. I told her I'd made a reservation at Carbone, the fanciest Italian place in the city. A place she'd always wanted to go. Her face lit up. Oh, Mark. Really? She'd said, her eyes shining with what I now knew was triumphant deceit. Yeah, I said, producing my masterstroke of fake vulnerability. I feel like I've been distant, insecure, and I'm sorry. I want to make it up to you. I want to show you how much I love you. She practically skipped to the phone to tell the coven. Their group chat exploded. Jessica, OMG, he's doing it. He's making the grand gesture. You won. Chloe, this is the perfect time to end it. At the dinner, you can have a tearful confession that there was never anyone else, and you were just scared, and he'll be eating out of your hand. Sarah, oh, you guys are the best. I couldn't have done this without you. You should come, both of you, as a celebration. It was almost too perfect, like they were co-writing my own script. That's a great idea, I said when she asked me. Let's make it a celebration, a fresh start. So that brings us back to the restaurant. After I dropped the bomb about Marco the actor, the silence was deafening. Sarah just stared at the photo, then at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Jessica had actually lowered her phone. What are you talking about? Sarah finally stammered. I'm talking about your game, I said, my voice still level. Your test. Your emotional weight training. I looked directly at Jessica when I said that. She flinched. I know everything. I've known for 3 weeks. I reached into the folder and pulled out the next exhibit, pages and pages of screenshots from their group chat. I fanned them out on the table like a winning poker hand. The rose, Derek from accounting, the cologne, the lies. It's all in there. Sarah's eyes scanned the pages, and the last bit of color left in her face vanished. She looked utterly broken. But I wasn't done. Oh no, the grand finale was yet to come. You see, I continued, leaning back in my chair. When I found out about all this, I was hurt. Truly, I thought our marriage was over. And I realized that if you needed to go to such lengths to feel secure, then maybe you should be with someone who gives you that kind of drama. That constant, exhausting excitement. I gestured to the photo of Marco. So I found him for you. I then pulled out the last item from my folder. A plane ticket, one way, to Aruba, for the following morning, and a cashier's check for $10,000. I've arranged for Marco to meet you there, I said. He's agreed to give you the full romance experience for a week. All expenses paid. It's my anniversary gift to you. A chance to have the kind of unpredictable, thrilling love life you so clearly crave. Sarah was openly sobbing now, fat tears rolling down her cheeks and splashing onto the printed-out messages. Chloe looked like she was going to be sick. Jessica, however, had a flicker of anger in her eyes. You bastard, she hissed. You can't do this. She loves you. Do you love me, Sarah? I asked, my voice soft now. Did you love me when you were laughing about my pain with your friends? Did you love me when you were lying to my face, day after day? Or did you just love the idea of owning me, of having a perfectly trained husband who would jump through any hoop you set for him? She couldn't answer. She just wept. I stood up. I took the little blue Tiffany's box off the table. You know what's funny? I said to the table at large. I came here tonight with two possible outcomes. This box, I said, holding it up, contains a necklace. A very expensive one. I was going to give it to you and tell you that I knew about your silly game, but that I forgive you and that we needed to go to counseling and cut certain toxic people out of our lives. I looked pointedly at her friends. That was plan A, the save our marriage plan. Then I put the box back in my pocket. And this, I said, tapping the manila folder, was plan B. The set fire to everything and walk away plan. I was going to let you decide which path we took. Your reaction tonight, the fact that you brought them, that you were all sitting here ready to celebrate how you'd so successfully manipulated me, that made the choice very, very easy. I pulled a pen from my jacket, signed the check on the table with a flourish, and pushed it toward her. I've already spoken to a lawyer, I said. The papers will be filed tomorrow. My things are already moved out of the house. You can stay there until it's sold. I looked at Jessica and Chloe. Enjoy your victory. And then I walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for a reaction. I walked out of that restaurant, into the cool night air, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. The aftermath was messy, spectacularly messy. Sarah apparently had a full-blown meltdown in the restaurant. Jessica and Chloe tried to spin the story to their friends, but my PI, Frank, had taken the liberty of sending an anonymous email with the entire group chat transcript to a few key people in their social circle. The story went viral in our town. Jessica's own husband, who had no idea his wife was this kind of puppet master, left her a week later. Chloe got fired from her job because her boss's wife was friends with my cousin and heard the whole story. Sarah tried calling me, texting me, emailing me for weeks. Apologies, excuses, blame. It was all there. But I never responded. I couldn't. The person I had married was gone, replaced by a stranger who saw our love as a game to be won. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. It was clean. I didn't fight for anything except the dogs. I got them. So yeah, that's how I ended up single, in a new apartment across town, with my 2 dogs and a hell of a story to tell. It was brutal, and it was heartbreaking, but you know what? It was worth it. I learned that my love isn't something that needs to be tested. It's something that needs to be trusted. And if you have to set up a game to see if it's real, then it probably never was to begin with. If you want to hear more crazy stories about my new life, because believe me, dating after all that is a whole other adventure, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You won't believe what happened on my first Hinge date.